The Krell Empire had won wars against 47 different planets. They were good at fighting in space, very good. Every time they met a new alien race, the aliens fought the same way. Ships lined up in neat rows. Everyone followed the rules. Everyone was predictable. Commander Vecthar stood on his big warship called the Infinite Verdict. He looked at his computer screens and felt happy. The human colony on New Portland had said no to his demands. That was annoying, but not a big problem. In 3 days, he would destroy their defenses and take over the planet. Just like always. What ships do the humans have? Vecthar asked his officer. Not many, sir. 2 small ships and 1 medium ship. They are protecting the moon where most humans live. Vecthar smiled in his alien way. His people had 4 eyes and mouths that clicked when they talked. Good. They are doing exactly what we expected. Get ready to attack. But Vecthar did not know something important. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years before they ever left Earth. Their wars were not neat and clean. They were messy, brutal, and full of tricks. 3 days ago, the human military had sent a special ship to New Portland. It was called the USS Defiance. The Defiance was not like other human ships. It was built by soldiers who had studied every war in human history. They did not care about following space battle rules. They only cared about winning. Inside the captain's room, someone had painted words on the wall. Chaos is a ladder. Captain Nathan Cross sat in his command chair. He was thin with sharp eyes that had seen many battles. He studied the Krell ships on his screen very carefully. They are using formation Beta 7, said Lieutenant Amy Walsh. She ran the weapon systems. Standard Krell attack pattern. The big ship in the middle, medium ships on the sides, small ships in front. Of course they are, Nathan said quietly. How long until they can shoot us? 40 minutes if they keep coming at this speed. Nathan stood up and straightened his uniform. Good. That gives us 40 minutes to confuse them. Helm, set a course, but not toward them. Toward the sun. Everyone on the bridge looked at each other with surprise. Peter Hayes, the second in command, leaned forward. Sir, did you say the sun? You heard me right. Full speed. I want us going so fast they think we are running away scared. They will think we are retreating, Amy said. Nathan smiled, but it was not a nice smile. That is exactly what I want them to think. On the Infinite Verdict, Vecthar watched his screen with satisfaction. The human warship was leaving. It was flying away from the colony. The human ship is running away, his officer said. They are heading toward the star. Cowards, Vecthar clicked his mouth parts. Weak species always run. Send 4 of our destroyers to chase them down and destroy them. The rest of us will attack the colony. Commander, the rules say we should stay together until— I know the rules, Vecthar interrupted, but I want to capture their captain. Send 4 destroyers. That is more than enough to catch 1 human ship. 4 Krell destroyers broke away from the main group and chased after the Defiance. For 20 minutes, they got closer and closer. The human ship was fast, but the Krell ships were faster. Then the human ship did something completely crazy. It flew straight into the sun's outer atmosphere. What is the human doing? Vecthar demanded loudly. They flew into the corona, Commander, the outer part of the star. Their ship is getting hotter and hotter. This is suicide. But the Defiance did not explode. Its special armor was designed for exactly this kind of insane plan. The outer layers of the ship started to burn away. Inside, alarms rang on every deck. In the engine room, Chief Lisa Grant watched her instruments with calm eyes. She had kept broken ships running for many years. Hull strength at 70%, she reported. Now 65. Holding at 62%. How long can we stay in here? Nathan asked through the communication system. 3 minutes, maybe 4. After that, important systems will break. 3 minutes is plenty of time. The Krell destroyers stayed outside the sun's atmosphere. They would not follow what looked like a suicide move. For 2 minutes and 40 seconds, the human ship stayed inside the star's burning outer layer. Then it came out. But not where the Krell thought it would. The Defiance had used the sun's gravity like a slingshot. It had gone around the star and was now racing back toward the Krell fleet. And it was moving faster than any ship the Krell had ever seen. Impossible, Vecthar whispered. No ship can survive that. No crew can live through that speed. But Nathan Cross had trained his crew differently. Every person on the Defiance had practiced handling extreme forces. Their stations had special equipment that helped them survive the crushing speed. The equipment barely passed safety tests, but nobody had bothered to fill out the proper paperwork anyway. All weapons, get ready to fire, Nathan ordered. Amy, I want you to aim at their command ship and the big cruisers. We only get one chance at this, so make every shot count. Ready to fire, Captain. Lisa, take power from everything we don't need right now. Give it to weapons and front shields. Already done, Captain. Nathan watched the Krell formation get bigger on his screen. They were panicking now, trying to turn their big ships to face this new threat. But big ships turn slowly. They had planned for threats to come from normal directions. The Defiance came screaming in from an angle that should have been impossible. It had used a star like a slingshot, something no Krell ship had ever tried. Fire everything, Nathan said calmly. The Defiance shot every weapon it had. Railguns, missiles, energy beams, and some experimental weapons that scientists had installed just to see what would happen. The attack hit the Krell formation like a hammer. The Infinite Verdict's shields held strong, but 3 of the cruisers were not so lucky. 2 lost their shields completely. Their hulls were torn open by super-fast bullets. The 3rd took a direct hit from something humans called a plasma lance. It was really just a shaped nuclear bomb that someone had turned into a weapon. Report. Vecthar shouted. His calm attitude was finally breaking. Heavy damage to cruiser groups 2 and 5. The small destroyers are breaking formation. They are trying to stop the human ship, but it is too fast. The Defiance flew through the formation. Its front shields absorbed incoming fire that would have destroyed a normal ship. Then it was past them, turning around for another attack. But this time, Nathan had a different plan. Release the drones, he ordered. From the Defiance's hull, 200 small robot fighters launched into space. Each one was barely bigger than a car. They scattered in every direction, creating a cloud of targets. The Krell defense systems tried desperately to track all of them, but half the drones were not weapons at all. They were jammers and computer hackers. Within seconds, the Krell computer network was flooded with false information. Ghost ships appeared on their screens that were not really there. Commander, we have lost our targeting systems, the Krell officer reported. Our computers are showing 40 enemy ships, but there should only be 1. The other half of the drones were definitely weapons. They were small, fast, and carried bombs designed to exploit a weakness in Krell shield technology. Human spies had discovered this weakness 3 months ago. The drones flew toward the big ships, too small and too many for the Krell to stop them all. Explosions started rippling across the Krell formation. Vecthar watched his perfect fleet falling into chaos. The human ship was everywhere at once, appearing on sensors in impossible positions, attacking from angles that broke every rule of space combat he had ever learned. All ships, pull back into defensive formation Gamma, he ordered. Fix the sensor network and, Commander, the human ship is sending us a message. Put it on screen. Nathan Cross appeared on the view screen. Vecthar was struck by the human's eyes. They were not afraid or desperate. They were calm, calculating, and worst of all, amused. Commander Vecthar of the Infinite Verdict, Nathan said. I am Captain Nathan Cross of the USS Defiance. I am going to give you one chance to leave this system. Not because I am nice, but because I have been fighting for 2 hours and my crew needs to eat dinner. You damaged 3 ships and you think you won? Vecthar clicked angrily. I still have 17 warships. You had 20 warships when this started, Nathan corrected him. And in the next 30 minutes you will have even fewer. You see, the thing about human warfare is that we don't believe in fair fights. We believe in winning. Right now my ship is faster than yours. I know this star system better than you do. And I have a crew full of people who really enjoy proving experts wrong. Nathan leaned forward slightly. So here is what will happen. You will order your fleet to leave this system, or I will show you what else humans can do when we get creative. Your choice. You have 5 minutes to decide. The transmission ended. Vecthar stared at the blank screen. In 47 campaigns across the galaxy, he had never met an enemy like this. His military training provided no answers for an opponent who treated the basic rules of warfare as suggestions rather than laws. Commander? His officer asked quietly. What are your orders? Vecthar looked at his tactical display. The human ship was moving again, getting ready for another impossible attack. 3 of his cruisers were damaged. His destroyer screen was in complete disorder. His sensors were still partly broken. He had more ships, more firepower. 3 weeks after the battle at New Portland, Commander Vecthar stood before the Krell High Council. His military posture was perfect even though his career was falling apart. The council chamber was huge and designed to make visitors feel small and powerless. 7 high counselors sat behind decorative screens, their shadows falling across the polished floor. "You retreated," High Counselor Zareth said. Her voice carried the weight of centuries of power. "One human ship appeared and you retreated with an entire battle group." "One human ship that showed abilities we did not expect," Vekthar replied, keeping his voice steady. "The humans fight without following any recognized rules. They use tactics that look like suicide. They do impossible moves. They have complete disregard for the normal ways of fighting in space. Rules mean nothing if you win the battle," another counselor said. "What you describe sounds like primitive desperation, not good tactics." "With respect, counselor, that was what I thought too," Vekthar said. "Until I fought them." The human commander did not act out of desperation. Every action was calculated and planned. He created chaos in our formations while keeping his own ship safe. They have studied warfare in ways we have not needed to. Where we have doctrine and rules, they have adaptation and creativity. Zareth leaned forward slightly. "Then we will adapt as well. The Dominion has resources the humans cannot match. We will send a fleet 3 times the size of yours. We will use commanders who will not be scared by unusual tactics. I would advise caution, High Counselor. The humans, your advice led to retreat, Commander. You are dismissed from this meeting." Vekthar bowed and left, knowing his words had fallen on deaf ears. The Dominion had conquered 47 star systems through overwhelming force and better technology. They could not imagine a universe where those advantages might not be enough. But Vekthar had looked into the eyes of Captain Nathan Cross, and he had seen something that troubled him deeply. The human had not been fighting to conquer territory. He had been fighting to survive. And creatures fighting for survival did not follow rules. Far from the Krell Dominion's homeworld, on a space station orbiting Earth, Admiral Helen Baker was reading Nathan Cross's battle report for the 3rd time. Each time she read it, she felt both proud of her officer and worried about what he had done. "He used the ship as a heat shield," she said out loud, looking at the woman across her desk. "He deliberately flew into a star's corona." Commander Patricia Lewis, head of Naval Intelligence, nodded. "The engineers are having heart attacks. The armor was meant for testing only, not actual combat. Cross burned through 40% of it in 3 minutes. But it worked." "It worked," Patricia agreed. "And now every bold captain in the fleet thinks they can do the same thing." Helen set down the report and rubbed her temples. "We knew this was coming. The Krell have been expanding for decades. Eventually they would reach our space. We had to make a statement. We made a statement, all right. According to our spies in neutral systems, the Krell High Council is preparing a fleet of 60 capital ships. They are calling it an educational campaign. 60 ships." Helen stood and walked to the window overlooking Earth. "Even with Cross's tactics, we cannot hold off that kind of force, not without huge losses. Which is why I recommend we don't fight them the normal way," Patricia said. She placed a data pad on the desk. "We have resources the Krell don't know about. Special forces teams, experimental weapons, spy networks. We have been preparing for this kind of fight since we first met the Galactic community." Helen picked up the pad and read through the plans. "This is very aggressive. Some might say reckless." "The Krell think they understand war because they have fought other civilized species," Patricia said. "But we are not civilized, not the way they define it. We are a species that climbed out of caves and conquered our entire planet before we reached the stars. We know how to fight dirty when we need to." "And you think that is enough against 60 warships?" Patricia smiled, and it was the smile of someone holding very good cards in a high-stakes game. "Admiral, I think we are about to teach the Krell why humanity spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of war." 4 weeks later, the Krell Expeditionary Fleet arrived at the edge of human space, exactly on schedule. Admiral Korvan had been chosen personally by the High Council to restore Krell honor. He looked at his fleet with satisfaction. 60 capital ships, each one a masterpiece of Krell engineering. The humans would have no choice but to surrender or die. "What is the status of human defenses?" he asked his tactical officer. "Long-range sensors show minimal activity. 3 cruisers at the outer defensive stations, scattered small patrol ships, no sign of the experimental vessel from New Portland." "The Defiance," Korvan said quietly. "They probably pulled it back for repairs after Commander Vekthar's encounter. No matter. We will sweep through their outer colonies easily. Prepare to advance." The fleet moved forward in perfect formation, a wall of military power that had broken a dozen species before humanity. They traveled exactly 4 light hours into human space before everything started going wrong. The first problem was when 3 of the lead destroyers reported engine problems at the same time. Not critical failures, just enough to slow them down and force the formation to adjust speed. The second problem was when long-range communications began having interference. Small glitches, easily blamed on natural space phenomena, but annoying. The third problem was when Admiral Korvan's flagship detected a signal that looked like a ship's engine exploding. The source appeared to be a human cargo ship about 2 light seconds away. Should we investigate? His tactical officer asked. Korvan thought about it. Normal rules would say to send a scout ship to check on the distress signal, but they were on a schedule. No, continue on course. If it is a human civilian ship, their own forces can rescue them. What Korvan did not know was that the cargo ship was actually a spy ship, and the fake distress signal had just mapped every electromagnetic emission from his fleet down to individual ship signatures. 3 hours later, the fleet reached the first major human defensive station orbiting a mining colony. Korvan expected resistance, fortifications, desperate defensive fire. Instead, the station was abandoned. Not destroyed or damaged, just empty. Scan for life signs, Korvan ordered. No life signs, Admiral. The station appears to have been evacuated within the last day. No signs of fighting. They fled rather than face us, cowardice. But something bothered Korvan. He pulled up the tactical map and studied the pattern of human positions. Every station they had passed was either barely defended or abandoned completely. It was too organized to be panic, too consistent to be random chaos. Change formation, he said suddenly. Defensive posture Delta. I want full sensor sweeps in all directions. Admiral, there are no enemy ships in range. Do it anyway. The fleet adjusted, ships moving into a more defensive pattern. It cost them time and efficiency. But Korvan had survived 40 years of military service by trusting his instincts. Those instincts kept him alive for another 6 hours. At the edge of the system, a small human frigate appeared, sent a single tight beam message toward the Krell fleet, and immediately jumped away. The message was simple. Coordinates, a timestamp, and a message in perfect Galactic standard language. You have been painted. Every ship, every signature. You are now in a known environment. We are not. The disadvantage is yours. Welcome to human space. We hope you enjoy your stay. The message was signed by Captain Nathan Cross. Korvan stared at the message, his mind's working through what it meant. Painted meant targeted, tracked, identified. The humans had spent the last several hours gathering intelligence on his fleet, while he had been focused on advancing forward. Analysis, he demanded. What do the humans need to use this information? His intelligence officer worked quickly. Long-range targeting, network coordination, distributed weapons platforms. They would need assets positioned throughout the system to use this data effectively. And do we believe the humans have such capabilities? The intelligence officer hesitated. We have no evidence of such systems, Admiral. Human military doctrine, as we understand it, focuses on individual ship combat rather than networked warfare. What we understand, Korvan repeated quietly. What we understand appears to be wrong. Tactical, I want active sensor sweeps, full spectrum. If there are human assets in this system, I want them found. For 2 hours, the Krell fleet swept the system with every sensor they had. They found nothing. No hidden ships, no weapons platforms, no signs of human military presence beyond the scattered retreating defensive forces. Then the attacks began. They started small. A destroyer reported a missile strike from an unknown source. The missile was destroyed by defense systems, but the launch point was never found. 10 minutes later, a cruiser detected weapons lock from 3 different positions at once. All 3 sources vanished before the ship could return fire. 20 minutes after that, 2 frigates reported hacking attempts on their computer systems. Both attempts were stopped, but they should not have been possible through Krell encrypted networks. They are testing us, Korvan realized, finding our responses, looking for weaknesses. This is not retreat. This is preparation. He pulled up the star map and studied the system.